Do you ever feel like life is pressing against you with a weight you can't carry? The kind of pressure that steals your sleep and follows you into every quiet moment? Maybe it's the medical report you prayed would be different, the one that sits folded in your drawer because you can't bear to look at it again. Maybe it's the bills stacked on your table like silent accusers, waiting for money that hasn't come and might never come. Or maybe it's something deeper, more hidden, the silent ache in your heart, the kind of pain no one else sees but that follows you everywhere you go, whispering that you're not enough, you'll never be enough. We've all been there, standing in the shadow of something so big, so overwhelming, that it blocks out the sun. You've tried everything you know how to try. You've worked harder. You've prayed longer. You've asked for advice, followed formulas, and done all the right things. But still, the mountain remains. Have you ever stood in front of something in your life and thought, this is impossible. I can't move this. I can't fix this. I can't win this. This thing is bigger than me, and I'm running out of fight? What if I told you Jesus gave a single secret to facing those impossible moments? And it wasn't about working harder, you've already tried that. It wasn't about being perfect, you know that's not realistic. It wasn't about having all the answers, because honestly, you're fresh out of those too. It was something so small, so simple, yet so powerful that Jesus said it could literally move mountains. Not metaphorical mountains. Not small problems. Mountains. But here's the truth most Christians miss about it. And if you don't understand this one thing, your faith will keep feeling weak, your prayers will feel like they're bouncing off the ceiling, and your mountains will keep looking bigger than your God. The secret isn't what you think it is. And once you see it, everything changes. Let's look at his exact words, because Jesus wasn't speaking in riddles here. He was giving us a key. In Matthew 17 verse 20, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you." Pause on that. Let it sink in. Read it again if you need to. Faith as small as a mustard seed. Not a giant oak tree with roots that go down for generations. Not flawless, unshakable belief that never questions or doubts. Just a seed. A tiny, almost invisible seed. And yet, Jesus connects that seed to mountains moving. To impossibilities becoming possibilities. To the word, nothing losing its power over your life. This wasn't Jesus exaggerating for effect. This was Jesus revealing a spiritual law that most of us have completely misunderstood. But what does that really mean? What was Jesus actually pointing us toward? Think about a mountain for a moment. Really picture it in your mind. It's not just big, it's ancient, immovable, solid. Something that was there long before your grandmother's grandmother was born, and will still be casting its shadow long after your great-grandchildren are gone. Mountains don't negotiate. They don't compromise. They don't care about your timeline or your plans. That's exactly why Jesus chose the image of a mountain. Because we all face things in life that feel exactly like that, unmovable, unchangeable, permanent. Maybe your mountain is financial debt that feels like it's been growing for so long it has its own zip code. You've tried budgets, second jobs, side hustles, and every financial guru's advice. But the numbers on the paper seem to multiply faster than you can attack them. Maybe it's an addiction you've tried to break 100 times. You've made promises to yourself, to God, to the people you love. You've thrown away bottles, deleted numbers, avoided places. But somehow, in your weakest moments, you find yourself right back where you started, wondering if you'll ever truly be free. Maybe it's the broken relationship that once felt like the safest place in your world. You've tried counseling, long conversations, heartfelt apologies, and changed behavior. But every attempt to rebuild seems to crumble in your hands, and now you're not even sure if healing is possible anymore. Maybe it's the dream that's been deferred so long you're starting to forget why it mattered to you in the first place. The business idea, the ministry calling, the family you've prayed for, all feeling more distant with each passing year. That's your mountain. And Jesus wasn't exaggerating when he said that even that thing you think cannot change, will not budge, is set in stone forever, even that can move. But here's where most Christians get it completely wrong. They think Jesus was pointing to the size of their faith, As if you need to work up more faith, manufacture bigger feelings, force yourself to believe harder, shout your prayers louder, fast longer, or somehow convince yourself that doubt doesn't exist. That's not what he was saying. And if you misunderstand this point, you'll spend years trying to create big faith, when all along Jesus was showing us a different kind of power entirely. The secret isn't in the size of your faith. The secret is in the object of your faith. Let me paint you a picture that might look familiar. Years ago, there was a man, let's call him Matt, who found himself drowning in debt after a medical emergency wiped out his savings and cost him his job. Credit cards maxed. Bills piling up like snow in a storm. Collection calls during dinner. Every night he lay awake staring at the ceiling, doing math in his head that never worked out, wondering how he'd ever crawl out of the hole that seemed to get deeper every day. He prayed, but his prayers felt empty, like words bouncing off the walls and falling to the floor. He went to church and heard other people share testimonies of God's provision, but those stories felt like they were happening in a different universe. His faith felt small, weak, insufficient. For months, Matt begged God for a miracle. A lottery win. An inheritance. A job offer that would solve everything overnight. He prayed with desperation, but not much hope. Until one night, exhausted and broken, something shifted. Instead of begging God for a mountain-moving miracle, he whispered something different. God, I don't have much faith left. I can barely see you through this mess. But here's the little I do have, this tiny, trembling trust that you're still good, even when I can't see how. I'm going to trust you with this one bill. Just this one step. The next morning, David made a phone call he had been too ashamed to make to his biggest creditor. Instead of hiding, he explained his situation with honesty and humility. And something unexpected happened. The person on the other end of the line was kind. They offered a payment plan he could actually manage. That tiny seed of trust, I'll make this one call, became the first crack in the mountain. Little by little, through that mustard seed beginning, doors began opening. Payment plans he didn't know existed. Favor he never could have arranged on his own. A part-time job that turned into full-time. Small provisions that began to add up. His mountain didn't move overnight. But it began to shift, because he stopped trying to move it with the strength of his faith and started trusting the God who specializes in impossible things. Here's the mistake so many Christians make with Jesus's teaching about mustard seed faith, and it's costing them years of unnecessary struggle. They think faith is about feeling certainty. They think if they don't feel confident, if they still have doubts swirling in their mind, if their hands still shake when they pray, if they wake up at 3 a.m. worrying, then their faith doesn't count. But Jesus never said, if you feel no doubt, then the mountain will move. He never said, if you can convince yourself that you're 100% certain, then you'll see miracles. He said, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed. Do you know how small a mustard seed is? It's one of the smallest seeds in the world. You can barely hold it between your fingers without losing it. It's fragile, easy to overlook, almost invisible. If you dropped it on the ground, you might never find it again. And that's exactly the point Jesus was making. Faith doesn't start big. It starts small. Faith doesn't require the absence of fear. It just requires the presence of trust, no matter how tiny that trust feels in the moment. Faith isn't about having all your questions answered. It's about taking the next step even when you can only see one step ahead. So if you're waiting until you feel enough faith before you act, you'll never move forward. If you're waiting until the doubt goes away, until the fear subsides, until you feel strong and confident and ready, you'll be waiting forever. Faith grows while you take the step, not before. The muscle gets stronger through use, not through waiting. So what does mustard seed faith actually look like in your daily life? How do you plant these seeds when your mountain feels too big and your faith feels too small? It means you don't have to fix your whole situation at once. You don't have to have a master plan that solves everything. You don't have to pray 1,000 perfect prayers or prove to God that you're spiritual enough, strong enough, or faithful enough. You just have to plant one seed of trust. One small act of obedience. One tiny step forward. If you're facing financial struggle, your mustard seed might be the simple act of creating a budget, not because you have all the answers, but in faith that God will help you steward what you have. It might be making that difficult phone call to a creditor, or having an honest conversation with your spouse about money, or taking that financial class you've been putting off. If you're battling fear or anxiety, your seed might be the small decision to open your Bible in the morning instead of immediately reaching for your phone. It could be choosing to speak one verse of truth out loud when the worried thoughts start spiraling, or taking a walk and talking to God instead of staying in bed. If you're praying for healing, physical, emotional, or relational, your mustard seed might be choosing to worship even while you wait. It could be showing up to that support group, following through with treatment, or having the conversation you've been avoiding. If you're struggling in your marriage, the seed might be saying, "I'm sorry," when your pride wants to stay silent, or choosing to speak words of life instead of criticism, or committing to pray for your spouse even when you don't feel like it. If you're raising difficult children, the seed could be responding with patience instead of anger in that triggered moment, or setting a boundary with love instead of fear, or choosing to see their potential instead of just their problems. If you're searching for your purpose, your seed might be volunteering somewhere, using your gifts to serve others, or taking that class that's been calling your name. The key is this: it's never about how big your faith looks to others or even to yourself. It's about where you plant it and in whom you place it. Because a mustard seed in the hand of God carries more power than a mountain standing in your way. Remember that impossible thing you thought of at the beginning? That situation that made your shoulders tense up just thinking about it? That mountain that's been casting a shadow over your life for weeks, months, maybe years? The thing you whispered to yourself, "I can't move this. This is too big. This is too hard. This has been here too long." Jesus is telling you something that could change everything. You don't have to move it. Read that again. You don't have to move your mountain. That was never your job. Your job isn't to shove the mountain out of the way through sheer force of will. Your job isn't to manufacture the strength to push it aside. Your job isn't to convince yourself that it's not really there or that it's smaller than it looks. Your job is to plant the seed. Your job is to trust. Your job is to take the next small step in faith. The mountain moves because of the God who hears you, not because of the strength of your effort. The mountain moves because of His power, not your performance. The mountain moves because He is faithful, not because you finally got your faith right. And when you dare to trust Him, even with the smallest, most trembling seed of faith, the impossible begins to shift. So today, I want to leave you with this truth that could transform how you face every challenge. Don't wait for giant faith. Don't wait until you feel fearless and bulletproof. Don't wait until you have everything figured out, until all your questions are answered, until you feel worthy enough or strong enough or ready enough. Take the little faith you have right now, the fragile, trembling, barely visible mustard seed faith in your hands, and place it in the hands of Jesus. Because He is the one who moves mountains. He is the one who makes a way where there is no way. He is the one who sees your impossible situation and says, "Watch this." He is the one who takes the seed you plant in trust and grows it into a miracle that will leave you telling the story for years to come. Your mountain's days are numbered, not because of your strength, but because of His. If this message spoke to you today, I want you to do two things. 1. Write the name of your mountain in the comments. It could be one word: debt, fear, addiction, loneliness, sickness, relationship. By writing it, you're planting your mustard seed in faith, declaring that God is greater than what you face. 2. Don't keep this to yourself. Share this video with one person who needs hope today. That friend who's been struggling, that family member who's been discouraged, that coworker who's been carrying a heavy load. You never know how God might use it to move their mountain. And if you want to keep walking in these timeless truths that actually change lives, make sure you subscribe to the Voice of Christ, where you'll hear more words of Jesus that speak life into your heart and strength into your journey. Because His voice is still the one that moves mountains. And your mountain is about to meet its match.